spiritual principles that shaped a success mindset to attract money and wealth. Everything that became great in the lives of Earl Nightingale and Bob Proctor began with an invisible agreement inside their minds, a set of principles about life, value, and abundance that could not be seen with the eyes but could be felt, lived, and measured by the results they produced. Those principles are not complicated doctrines. They are everyday choices about thought, feeling, and action that, when practiced consistently, rewire a person's destiny. This is a practical spiritual teaching. The way you think and the inner rules you live by determine the wealth you magnetize. We will walk through those principles now, slowly and clearly, because mastery is cumulative. Each principle builds upon the previous one. Together, they form a coherent map that anyone can follow, regardless of background or circumstances. You don't need permission to use them. You only need intention and the willingness to apply them honestly. Begin by accepting a single foundational truth. Your outer world is a mirror of your inner world. Earl Nightingale called it the strangest secret, that people become what they think about most of the time. Bob Proctor amplified this by teaching that thought is energy and emotion is the magnet that pulls form into your experience. When thought and feeling are joined with clarity of purpose, the invisible becomes inevitable. Principle 1. Clarity of purpose. The human mind needs an objective. Without a definite aim, energy drifts and life drifts with it. Nightingale taught that successful people are those who decide where they are going. A clear aim focuses the mind's power like a lens focuses light. If you want to attract wealth, be specific about what wealth means for you. A number, a lifestyle, the freedom to serve. Write it down. Describe it. Feel it. Not in a scattershot way, but with detail. The figure in the bank, the space you live in, the impact you make. Purpose anchors energy and creates direction. Without it, all effort loses its multiplier. Principle 2. The law of belief. Belief is the invisible infrastructure beneath all outcomes. Nightingale taught that the world gives us back what we expect. Proctor explained that your subconscious accepts statements you repeat with emotion as truth and then organizes behavior to make them true. So the single largest investment you can make is in the quality of your beliefs. If you believe deeply that you are worthy of wealth, your actions change. You begin to see opportunities rather than obstacles. You ask for what you deserve. You negotiate with confidence. You take risks calibrated by faith rather than fear. Repetition changes wiring. Belief rewrites limits. Principle 3. Emotional calibration. Feeling creates frequency. It is not enough to think about abundance. You must feel it. Emotions are the voltage that activates thought. When you couple a clear thought with a high-level emotion, gratitude, joy, certainty, you generate a frequency that aligns with prosperity. Proctor emphasized the invisible quality of emotion, that it charges ideas and sets the subconscious to work. Practically, this means you must practice living in the feeling of your desired state. Feeling rich is not the same as having money. It is the energetic condition that allows resources to flow. Invest time each day in cultivating gratitude, appreciation, and the experience of having already arrived. Principle 4. Responsibility and ownership. Both teachers insisted on taking full responsibility for your life. That doesn't mean blame. It means ownership. If you are the architect of your inner state, then you are also the engineer of your results. When you stop blaming external conditions and start adjusting your own patterns of thought and feeling, you reclaim power. Responsibility demands discipline. The discipline to notice negative cycles, to interrupt them, and to choose a different line of thinking. It is the moral muscle that supports every spiritual principle. The wealthy mindset treats challenges as data, not destiny. Principle 5. The power of repetition. Programming the subconscious. The subconscious doesn't reason. It records. It accepts repeated impressions as reality and arranges your life to fit them. Nightingale's work showed that habitual thoughts create habitual results. Proctor's training emphasized repetition with emotional resonance. Write down your goals, speak them aloud, visualize them, and feel them. Over time, the subconscious moves you toward congruence. Create rituals, morning visualizations, gratitude practices, evening reviews, and you will reprogram the deep mind that runs your life. Principle 6. Function over form. Serve first, receive second. Money reflects value. Both men taught that wealth is the natural return of useful service. If you make your aim to serve, to contribute, to solve problems for others, the financial return is an effect, not the cause. This spiritual principle protects you from greed and aligns you with long-term, generative prosperity. Serve with excellence, and the world compensates for excellence because systems reward usefulness. Value creation becomes the language through which abundance translates into your life. Principle 7. Abundance consciousness versus scarcity mindset. Scarcity contracts. Abundance expands. The difference is more than vocabulary. It is an operating system. Scarcity sees limitation, hoards resources, and fears other people's success. Abundance recognizes infinite potential. It shares, collaborates, and multiplies value through relationships. To change your financial life, you must change your internal economy. Celebrate others' success. Create networks of cooperation. When you operate from an abundance identity, money flows through you with less friction. Principle 8. The art of receiving. Many spiritual seekers focus on giving and forget the equally spiritual practice of receiving. You cannot share what you do not allow into your life. Receiving is a discipline. Accept compliments, accept opportunities, accept sizable compensation when offered. Both Nightingale and Proctor taught that to be a true channel of abundance, you must let resources flow in as freely as you let them flow out. Practice saying, "Thank you," and let prosperity be welcomed rather than resisted. Principle 9. The quiet power of focus. The mind amplifies what it focuses on. Distraction diffuses energy. Focus concentrates it. If you want to build wealth, focus most of your creative energy on a few high-value areas rather than many scattered attempts. Nightingale often spoke about the power of a single focused goal, and Proctor reinforced consistent focus as the engine of manifestation. Use time blocking, priority lists, and deep work sessions to protect your focus bandwidth. Principle 10. The role of integrity and character. Long-term wealth is not only about ideas and vibration. It is about character. Trustworthiness, reliability, and integrity attract long-term partners, clients, and relationships. A business or career built on short-term gains without integrity eventually destabilizes. Spiritual success and material wealth converge when character supports competence. Be the kind of person others want to invest in and to promote. Principle 11. The practice of detachment and allowing. While focus is essential, so is the ability to let go of excessive attachment to outcomes. Nightingale spoke about working with purpose, but not desperation. Proctor taught the spiritual law that the universe responds best when you act and then allow. The paradox of deliberate surrender. Acting with committed intention while releasing frantic need invites the universe to handle logistics and timing. Cultivate an inner calm that trusts process. Principle 12. The multiplier effect of gratitude. Gratitude is one of the highest practical spiritual skills. It shifts your vibration immediately. When you habitually count blessings, you elevate your energy and open channels for more to come. Both teachers made gratitude central. It is the engine that signals to the universe that you acknowledge abundance already present, and that acknowledgement invites further supply. Make gratitude a discipline, morning, midday, and night. Let appreciation shape your perception. Principle 13. the intelligence of incremental steps. Large shifts often occur through a series of small, consistent actions. Nightingale emphasized progressive realization. Proctor taught about the compound effect of consistent vibration. You do not need a dramatic overhaul overnight. Instead, commit to daily practices that shift mindset and energy bit by bit. A minute of visualization, an expression of gratitude, one inspired action, and watch the compound effect transform your financial trajectory. Principle 14. The importance of environment. You reflect the dominant frequencies around you. Your relationships, reading choices, media exposure, and physical environment either elevate or lower your energy. Nightingale warned about conforming to the wrong crowd, and Proctor urged surrounding yourself with higher-minded people and materials. Curate a field that supports abundance, mentors, uplifting communities, educational content. Your environment must echo the frequency you intend to be. Principle 15. The creative use of imagination. Imagination is the workshop of the soul. The future is first conceived in imagination. Proctor taught that imagination is the connecting faculty to the infinite field of ideas. The creative image you hold daily becomes the blueprint your subconscious follows. Harness imagination for problem solving, service design, and strategic innovation. Train your mind to visualize solutions, and you will begin to notice the inspired actions that bring about wealth. Principle 16. Courage to outgrow the comfortable. Growth requires discomfort. To attract bigger income, you often must step beyond familiar roles, learn new skills, and accept temporary uncertainty. Nightingale and Proctor both insisted that courage is the currency of expansion. When fear appears, honor it but move forward anyway. The resistance is proof you're growing. Courageous action shifts identity. Identity shifts results. Principle 17. The ethical use of power. Wealth confers power. The spiritual principle is that power should be used ethically and for upliftment. Money invested in positive work amplifies abundance across networks. Use your resources to grow others, to create opportunities, and to solve problems. This ethically grounded approach aligns personal gain with collective good, and such alignment fortifies long-term prosperity. Principle 18. The habit of continuous learning. Both men were lifelong students. Increasing your capacity, knowledge, skills, emotional maturity raises your value. Read, learn, practice. The market rewards increasing competence. Spiritual growth and professional growth feed each other. The more you evolve, the more resources you can attract and steward. Principle 19. The magnetic role of high contribution. Wealth gravitates toward high contribution. Ask not only, how can I get paid? But, how can I contribute at such a high level that compensation naturally follows? This shift in orientation takes your mind off lack and positions you as value. The law is simple. Contribution precedes compensation. Principle 20. Stewardship of wealth. Attracting money is only part of the journey. Stewardship ensures longevity. Learn basic financial principles: budgeting, saving, investing, and giving. Stewardship expresses gratitude for what money provides and turns a flow into a stable river. The spiritual dimension of stewardship is the practice of honoring resources and deploying them wisely for growth and service. Principle 21. The rhythm of rest and renewal. Overwork without renewal burns out creativity. Sleep, silence, and periods of reflection recharge your capacity to attract and create. Nightingale often emphasized rest as part of efficiency. Proctor taught the necessity of inner renewal. Abundance requires both action and restoration. Principle 22. The simplicity of sincere action. Complication dilutes force. Take sincere, simple actions that are aligned with your purpose. Avoid busy work that feels productive but yields little. The spiritual path to wealth favors clear, brave choices over frantic busyness. Principle 23. Embracing a long-term perspective. Instant results are gratifying but unstable. Build wealth with a mindset that values long-term compound gains, relationships, reputation, intellectual property, and recurring value. Nightingale and Proctor both built legacies on patient, persistent application of principle. Principle 24. Celebrate and normalize success. When you achieve gains, celebrate genuinely and integrate the success as part of your identity. The mind needs evidence to accept new reality. By recognizing your progress, you solidify the new vibration and open for bigger results. Principle 25. The network effect of generosity. Generosity attracts reciprocity. When you give value freely, whether ideas, introductions, or resources, you create a network where abundance circulates. This is not transactional altruism, but strategic generosity. Help others win, and you win as the network amplifies. Principle 26. The sacredness of intention. Set intentions with reverence and clarity. Intention channels energy with precision. Ritualize your declarations. Write them, feel them, align daily activities with them. Intention plus consistent feeling equals magnetism. Principle 27. Embodying the new identity. Most transformations fail because people do not internalize the identity of the one they want to become. To attract wealth, live as that person now. How would they speak? What decisions would they make? Embodiment short-circuits self-doubt and aligns behavior with results. Principle 28. The refinement of inner dialogue. Language shapes experience. Replace scarcity talk with possibility talk. Monitor internal narration. When negative assumptions arise, reframe them. Your inner dialogue programs your actions and thus your results. Principle 29. The power of consistency. Every formula above requires presence over time. Consistency compounds vibration. The spiritual law is patient. Steady alignment yields inevitable outcome. Keep the practices, guard the rituals, and trust the process. Principle 30. Legacy thinking, wealth as influence. True spiritual wealth transcends personal benefit. Consider wealth as the capacity to create positive change. When you orient goals toward legacy, you access deeper energy and sustainable motivation. These principles, practiced together, form a living system rather than a checklist. Start where you are. Choose one principle today, clarity, gratitude, or forgiveness, and apply it relentlessly. Add another next week. The compound effect will feel slow at first and then exponential. Practical daily architecture to embody these principles. Mornings of clarity, visualization, and intention. Midday pauses for gratitude and recalibration. Evenings of review and forgiveness. Surround yourself with learning and mentors who hold higher standards. Take small, inspired actions consistently. Track results, adjust beliefs where necessary, and steward the wealth you attract with humility and wisdom. Remember that spiritual principles are not detached from practicality. They are practical at their core because they engage the human capacity to choose. Choosing what you think, how you feel, and the actions you take. Change those and your circumstances change. This is the living legacy of Earl Nightingale and Bob Proctor. Simple truths applied with discipline produce extraordinary lives. If you adopt these principles not as abstract ideals, but as daily operating rules, your mind will change, your energy will rise, and the wealth you attract will reflect the new inner order you create. Wealth then becomes not merely a goal, but a byproduct of a life lived with purpose, integrity, and service. Now, take a breath. Choose the next small step aligned with one principle above. Write down one clear financial intention. Feel it as real for 5 minutes, and then act in service to that intention today. That single sequence, clarity, feeling, action is the smallest unit of transformational practice. Repeat it, compound it, and watch how your life begins to mirror the spiritual laws you are now choosing to live by. Every life that has reached greatness, every fortune that has been built upon the foundation of service and understanding, began with the invisible realm of mind and spirit. Earl Nightingale once said that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Those words hold far more power than they seem to at first glance, because progressive realization means a continual unfolding of your potential. It is not a single achievement, but a relationship with your higher self. Bob Proctor used to remind his students that we are spiritual beings living in physical bodies, guided by universal laws. When you understand those laws and live by them, you no longer chase success, you magnetize it. You become a channel for the flow of abundance that is already circulating through creation. The secret is to harmonize your vibration with that flow. The next stage in embodying these principles is to merge the philosophical clarity of Nightingale with the vibrational awareness of Proctor. Nightingale gives you structure. Proctor gives you flow. Together, they create a balanced, grounded spirituality that produces real-world wealth. Start with this realization. Thought is the seed of every fortune. The mind is like fertile soil. Whatever you plant in it and nurture through repetition and emotion must grow. If you plant ideas of lack, fear, and unworthiness, your outer results will mirror those conditions. But if you plant thoughts of expansion, gratitude, and abundance, life will reflect that back to you. You might be thinking, if it's that simple, why doesn't everyone live richly? The answer lies in consistency. Most people plant a seed of wealth in the morning and dig it up by afternoon to check if it's growing. They alternate between faith and fear. But spiritual wealth requires sustained belief. The universe responds not to occasional wishes, but to steady vibration. To truly master your financial destiny, you must cultivate an unbroken current of faith, a faith so steady that it becomes identity. Faith is not blind optimism. It's knowledge of law. You don't question whether gravity will work when you drop a stone. Similarly, you must know that the law of attraction and the law of vibration are always operating, whether you're conscious of them or not. The question isn't if they work. The question is whether you are aligned with them. When Earl Nightingale studied human behavior, he noticed something extraordinary. The vast majority of people drift through life without clear goals, without purpose, and without understanding how their own thoughts are shaping their outcomes. He estimated that less than 5% of people ever decide on a definite aim. The remaining 95% simply follow the crowd, living by reaction instead of creation. Bob Proctor devoted his life to helping people become part of that 5%. He would say, you don't get rich by doing certain things. You get rich by doing things in a certain way. That certain way is a blend of mindset, energy, and consistency. Let's explore what that means in practice. Imagine waking up tomorrow with total awareness that your thoughts are magnetic. You wouldn't dare entertain doubt, complaint, or envy, because you would know those thoughts create more of the same. Instead, you deliberately choose gratitude, creativity, and confidence. Over time, this conscious choosing reshapes the subconscious mind, the unseen mechanism that controls 95% of your daily actions. Your subconscious mind is the gatekeeper between your spirit and your results. It doesn't judge. It doesn't decide. It only obeys. Whatever you repeatedly impress upon it, it accepts as truth and expresses in your world through circumstances and behavior. This is why repetition and feeling are essential. One thought, however positive, cannot change your life. But a thought repeated daily, saturated with emotion, becomes belief. Belief turns into expectation, and expectation becomes manifestation. Here's a simple method inspired by both Nightingale and Proctor. Decide exactly what you want. Not vaguely, but with specificity. Write it in the present tense. I am so happy and grateful now that I earn $10,000 a month doing what I love. Read it aloud every morning and night. Feel it as though it's already real. Act each day as if that version of you already exists. This is not wishful thinking. It's reprogramming through the laws of vibration. The spiritual dimension of this process is what most people miss. Earl Nightingale approached it from the perspective of rational cause and effect. You think, therefore you create. Bob Proctor expanded it by teaching that your energy state determines the speed and quality of that creation. When you combine both, logical clarity and vibrational mastery, your results accelerate dramatically. Let's look at a principle that connects both men deeply. Service is the foundation of wealth. Nightingale observed that every successful person he ever studied had one thing in common. They served others in valuable ways. Money, he said, is the yardstick by which the world measures the value of your service. The more people you help, and the more effectively you help them, the more money naturally flows to you. Proctor agreed, but added a crucial insight. Service must be infused with spirit. It's not mechanical giving. It's inspired giving. You must love what you do, radiate enthusiasm, and see your work as an expression of divine creativity. When you combine practical service with elevated energy, wealth becomes inevitable. This is the energetic economy of the universe. Value for value, vibration for vibration. Now, let's address something that blocks many from manifesting abundance: subconscious guilt about money. Some people were taught that spiritual purity and material wealth cannot coexist. They believe that desiring wealth is selfish or unholy. But this belief is a distortion. Both Nightingale and Proctor dismantled that myth. They taught that money is neutral. It simply amplifies who you are. If you are generous, wealth increases your generosity. If you are creative, wealth expands your ability to create. Money in spiritual hands multiplies good. Bob Proctor used to say, if you can help the poor, be rich. If you can teach love, be prosperous. The more you have, the more you can give. That is the spiritual logic of abundance. Let go of guilt. Replace it with gratitude. When you desire more wealth, you are not taking from others. You are expanding the flow of life through you. The universe is infinite. No one has to lose for you to win. The next principle is expectation. Expectation is the bridge between belief and reality. It's what converts inner knowing into outer expression. When you truly expect abundance, you align your emotions, thoughts, and behavior with it. The universe reads expectation as instruction. Nightingale advised visualizing success daily, not as a fantasy, but as rehearsal for the inevitable. Proctor would have you feel that success so vividly that your nervous system believes it's happening now. This emotional realism triggers the subconscious to bring your external reality into harmony with your internal state. But beware of passive expectation, waiting without action. True expectation moves your body into inspired activity. You don't just sit and wish. You follow nudges, act on intuition, make the call, send the email, start the project. The universe responds to motion. When you move with faith, you activate a principle known in both psychology and spirituality. As you move, things move for you. Every time you act in faith, you send a ripple through the field of potential, and that field rearranges itself to support your intention. Now let's touch the higher octave of these teachings, the principle of spiritual partnership. Earl Nightingale viewed the mind as a mechanism for creation, and Bob Proctor saw spirit as the infinite intelligence guiding that mechanism. When you align mind and spirit, you stop trying to make things happen and begin to allow them to happen through you. You become a cooperative force rather than a controlling one. Here lies one of the greatest paradoxes of manifestation. You must be both the creator and the witness. You must decide and then surrender. Intend with clarity, but release the outcome. This balance between control and trust is the mark of spiritual maturity. You are not begging the universe to help you. You are collaborating with it. The same intelligence that keeps your heart beating and planets spinning is capable of orchestrating your opportunities. When you internalize that truth, anxiety fades. You stop pushing. You begin to attract. Both teachers emphasized calm confidence, an unshakable peace rooted in understanding, not in hope. Earl Nightingale would say, "Calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom." And Bob Proctor echoed that with, "Faith and fear both demand that you believe in something you cannot see. Choose faith. From that space of calm faith, your energy becomes clean, magnetic, and unresisted. Money, opportunities, and success start moving toward you almost effortlessly. When you truly understand these spiritual principles, thought, belief, emotion, service, expectation, surrender, you realize that wealth is not something to chase. It is something to tune into. You do not earn abundance in the way society defines it. You allow it by aligning with it. And this alignment begins inside, every day, with one simple act: choosing your thoughts deliberately. Every morning, you are either programming your mind consciously or being programmed by your environment. Choose creation over reaction. Choose gratitude over complaint. Choose clarity over confusion. Your life will mirror those choices. How to apply the spiritual principles. Practical steps to reprogram your mind, energy, and finances. If the principles we mentioned earlier are true, the next question is simple. How do you actually live them day by day so your income and life begin to change? The answer is practice. Spiritual ideas become practical when you turn them into routines, habits, and small acts repeated until they change the wiring of your mind. This section gives you a clear, step-by-step way to apply those principles so that your vibration rises, your mindset shifts, and your financial results start to follow. Begin with a morning ritual that grounds you in clarity and vibration. The first 10 minutes after waking are psychologically powerful. Instead of checking messages or diving straight into tasks, take 5 minutes to breathe and center yourself. Inhale slowly for 4 counts. Hold briefly. Exhale for 6 counts. While you breathe, focus on one sentence that expresses your purpose for the day. Keep it short and clear. Today I create value and welcome abundance. Say it with feeling. Then spend 3 minutes visualizing one practical success for the day. A conversation that goes well, a task completed with excellence, a helpful idea offered to someone. Visualize it in detail. What you say, the expression on your face, the pleasant outcome. Hold the feeling of success for a few breaths. This simple routine raises your vibration before you step into the world. Write down one clear financial goal and translate it into small, daily actions. If your big aim is to increase your monthly income by a specific amount, break that target into weekly and daily steps. For example, if you need new clients, a daily action might be reaching out to 2 potential clients, posting one piece of useful content, or revising a pitch. The point is to connect vision with action. Both Nightingale and Proctor taught that clarity plus small, consistent action compounds over time. The spiritual part is that you do these actions from a higher vibration, calm confidence and gratitude, not from desperation. Use morning affirmations that are short, present tense, and emotionally charged. The subconscious listens to the emotional tone more than the grammar. Replace distant statements like, "I will be rich," with "I am a person who creates value and wealth flows to me." Read your affirmation aloud, feel it in your body, and imagine evidence of it during the day. This repetition charges the subconscious, guiding its automatic choices. Over days and weeks, the inner script changes, and new opportunities appear as a natural consequence. Train your imagination to rehearse success with sensory detail. Practice visual scenes with sound, smell, and movement. When you imagine closing a deal, also imagine the handshake, the words spoken, the feeling of confidence in your chest. The more senses involved, the more real the rehearsal becomes to your nervous system. Your body cannot tell the difference between strong imagination and experience. Both influence your subconscious equally. By rehearsing positive scenes daily, you prepare your mind to notice and act on opportunities that match those images. Create an evening review ritual to solidify progress and correct course. Before bed, write down 3 things that went well that day and 1 lesson learned. This short reflective practice trains the brain to look for evidence of progress and to learn from small failures without self-attack. The emotional tone matters. Celebrate wins sincerely and treat lessons as neutral information. Over time, your brain shifts from scanning for problems to scanning for possibilities, and that becomes a major energetic upgrade. Detach from the how while maintaining deliberate action. One of the big traps is to try to micromanage outcomes. The balanced approach is to take inspired action and then release the frantic need to control every detail. This is spiritual practice in motion. Do your best, then step back and trust that the field will provide the necessary connections. That release lowers resistance. When you cling, your energy tightens and blocks flow. When you allow, your energy opens and attracts help, ideas, and timing that you could not force. Deal with emotional blocks by naming them and replacing them. If feelings of unworthiness, guilt, or fear appear, identify the thought behind them. I'm not good enough, or money is the root of evil, and write it down. Then write a truthful, corrective thought. I am growing into greater value every day. Or, money is a tool that allows me to serve on a larger scale. Repeat the corrective thought with feeling until it softens the old one. This is not quick magic. It is rewiring. Use journaling to track patterns and to witness your changing inner state over weeks. Practice forgiveness and gratitude as energy hygiene. Forgiveness frees you from past resentments that act like emotional anchors. Every time you forgive someone else or yourself, you lighten your field. Gratitude fills the field with high-frequency energy that attracts more to be grateful for. Both practices are simple and deeply practical. Say a short forgiveness statement when old pain surfaces. I forgive them and release myself. And list at least 5 things you are grateful for each day. These 2 repeated acts change your magnetic field profoundly. Build a network that supports your new identity. Your environment shapes your vibration. Be selective about who you spend time with, what you read, and what you watch. Find mentors, peers, or communities that model expansion, not limitation. Seek out 1 or 2 people who are at the level you want to reach and learn from them. The energy of association speeds your growth because you absorb new behaviors, language, and expectations. Make generosity part of your practice. Give time, attention, or money in small ways, without expectation of return. Generosity sends a clear signal to the universe. I trust abundance. It also trains you to be a channel rather than a hoarder. When you give, your energy moves outward and creates space for receiving. The law here is simple and consistent. Circulation multiplies. The emotional benefit is immediate. The material reflections often follow. Create a value list every week. On a sheet of paper, list the forms of value you offer: skills, relationships, knowledge, reliability, creativity. Next to each item, write 1 way you can increase or communicate that value this week. This exercise turns abstract inner growth into practical market expression. When you increase real value, money becomes a natural byproduct. Nightingale's idea that your rewards are in direct proportion to your service is practical when translated into daily choices to amplify what you bring. Practice brave smallness, courage in tiny steps. If a larger action scares you, break it into smaller components and do one. Fear often paralyzes because the task seems huge. Reduce the size and make momentum your ally. Each completion grows confidence. The spiritual practice is to move despite fear and to treat fear as a signal you are expanding. Courage becomes a muscle developed through repeated use. Keep a proof file, a visible collection of wins, testimonials, pay stubs, positive emails, or notes from happy clients. When old doubt creeps in, look at the proof file. Your brain needs evidence to accept a new reality. This material evidence supports your inner shift and accelerates belief. Practice clear communication about your value and boundaries. Ask for a raise, propose new offerings, or negotiate better terms when you deserve them. Doing this from a calm, prepared state is one of the most direct ways to translate inner growth into higher pay. Use facts, present value clearly, and speak with gratitude for opportunities. Negotiation is a skill you can learn. Practice increases competence and shifts your self-image as an earner. Create margin. Protect time and energy for rest, reflection, and high-quality work. Overwork and frantic busyness lower your frequency. Margin space between commitments allows creativity and intuition to surface. Schedule it like any other appointment and treat it as essential. Use breathwork to shift states quickly. If anxiety rises before a meeting or negotiation, stop and breathe. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 2, exhale for 6. This simple physiological technique signals safety to your nervous system and raises your vibration to a clearer state. You will notice better performance and less reactivity. Practice gratitude in advance. When you imagine a future income increase, thank it as if it already arrived. Feel the relief, the options, and the joy. Gratitude in advance creates emotional alignment with the outcome and signals readiness to receive. Invest in yourself strategically. Read good books, attend short courses, and hire coaches who can shorten your learning curve. Continuous education increases your earning potential and shifts your identity as someone who grows and invests. The spiritual side here is that investing in yourself is an act of trust in your future. Stay consistent with small daily practices more than occasional big efforts. The compound benefit of daily alignment beats intermittent intensity. Choose practices you can realistically keep. 5 minutes of visualization, 5 minutes of gratitude, 1 value-adding action. Do them daily and watch the momentum build. Be mindful of language. Replace scarcity phrases with empowering ones. Instead of saying, "I can't afford it," say, "I'm deciding to allocate my resources differently." Watch how small linguistic shifts change your inner vibration and external choices. Release perfectionism. Waiting for perfect conditions is a form of fear. Do your best now, learn, and adjust. Perfectionism drains energy and delays results. The spiritual practice is to act with excellence without demanding impossible standards. Excellence plus timely action trumps delayed perfection. Use themed days to focus energy. For example, reserve 1 day a week for marketing, 1 for learning, 1 for client work. This structure concentrates effort into deep focus sessions that produce better outcomes than scattered multitasking. Measure what matters. Track key indicators: number of value offers made, follow-ups, content pieces published, or proposals sent. Tracking turns vague intention into measurable progress and reduces anxiety. When you see numbers improving, your belief rises and your energy follows. Practice radical honesty with yourself. Notice limiting stories and test them. Ask, "Is this true now?" Replace assumptions with curious inquiry and experiment. Testing beliefs through action dissolves irrational limitations faster than thinking alone. Build rituals for transitions. Use short rituals to signal the brain. A small walk before work to set intention. A 5-minute tidy after work to close the day. Rituals create predictability and help you stay in a high-frequency rhythm. Surround yourself with reminders of your ideal life. Visual cues, a vision board, a short note on your mirror, a screensaver with your goal. Keep clarity at the forefront. Clarity reduces energetic scatter and helps maintain daily alignment. Use the power of story rewriting. Identify the old money story you were told. For example, "We were always broke," and write a new story that serves your future. Read the new story daily until it replaces the old. Stories program the subconscious in a deep way. Changing the narrative is essential for permanent shifts. Practice generosity with time. Offer free help or advice in your area of expertise occasionally. Giving without immediate expectation builds networks and opens unexpected doors. Generosity creates reciprocity and elevates your social field. Engage in a weekly review with intention. Each week, check what actions moved results, what thoughts dominated, and where alignment slipped. Adjust as needed and celebrate wins. This adaptive loop keeps you learning quickly and staying aligned. Understand the role of patience. Spiritual growth and material results have rhythms. Keep faith while acting. If a practice is not producing visible results, double down in feeling and small action rather than fretting. Maintain emotional hygiene between major decisions. Use short breaks, nature, or music to clear lower emotions. Emotional clutter clouds intuition. Clean energy choices daily preserve high-frequency momentum. Finally, cultivate the humility to learn and the confidence to act. Both are spiritual strengths. Humility keeps you teachable. Confidence helps you step forward. Together, they create a grounded magnetic presence that attracts financial opportunity without forcing it. When you apply these practical steps repeatedly, the inner shift becomes automatic. Your subconscious will begin to choose opportunities that match your new identity. People notice the difference in energy and respond with offers, respect, and opportunities. The results do not come from wishful thinking. They come from disciplined, faith-filled practice. If this guidance has connected with you, please write a comment below telling me which single daily practice you will adopt this week and why. Your choice could spark action in someone else, and sharing helps solidify your own commitment. Every great transformation starts within, not in the external world of effort, but in the inner world of perception. Earl Nightingale and Bob Proctor both understood this universal truth, that reality is not something that happens to us. It is something that emanates from us. And at the center of that emanation lies the invisible but powerful structure of our beliefs. Bob Proctor used to say, "Your results are always a reflection of your subconscious paradigms." This means that even if you consciously desire wealth, success, and abundance, your subconscious might still be programmed to resist them. It's like trying to sail north while your compass points south. Until you realign the inner compass of belief, your outer journey will always return you to the same shore. Earl Nightingale explained this process in beautifully logical terms. He said, "We become what we think about most of the time. But thinking is not merely repeating words or affirmations. It's feeling, visualizing, believing so deeply that your inner world begins to accept the new reality as already true. The moment your subconscious accepts it, the outer conditions start rearranging to match it. This is the spiritual science behind manifestation, the fusion of thought and vibration. It's not magic. It's alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are congruent with abundance, you become a living magnet for prosperity. But let's dive deeper. When Nightingale spoke of success, he defined it not as a goal reached, but as the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That's a key insight. Success isn't an end. It's a state of being. The person who wakes up every day with a vision, who moves with purpose and faith, is already successful because they're in motion toward their ideal. The money, opportunities, and growth are merely the natural consequences of that inner direction. Bob Proctor expanded this idea by introducing the concept of vibrational alignment. He said that everything in the universe vibrates, thoughts, emotions, even physical matter. When your vibration is one of lack, you repel abundance. When it's one of gratitude and confidence, you attract it. The law of vibration is the foundation upon which the law of attraction operates. This is why two people with the same education, same opportunities, and same environment can have drastically different results. One radiates limitation, the other radiates possibility. The outer world bends to their inner tone. To shift your vibration, you must first master the inner conversation, the dialogue you hold with yourself when no one else is listening. If that conversation is filled with self-doubt, scarcity, or fear, then your energy becomes heavy and resistant. But if you replace that dialogue with words of power, with affirmations that reflect your divine worth, your energy rises. Try this simple but profound daily exercise drawn from both men's teachings. Every morning, spend 5 minutes visualizing yourself already living in abundance. Feel it in your body. Don't just imagine the money. Imagine the freedom, the peace, the joy of contribution. Repeat quietly, I am abundant now. I am connected to the infinite source of wealth that flows through me. Then, throughout the day, observe your thoughts. If you catch yourself slipping into doubt, pause and realign. Remember, you are not your negative thoughts. You are the awareness that can redirect them. Nightingale often quoted Emerson, "A man is what he thinks about all day long." He believed that the greatest power any human possesses is the ability to choose his own thoughts, and that choice determines destiny. Most people, however, live reactively. Their minds are shaped by the news, by fears, by the energy of others. They are like ships without a rudder. But once you reclaim authorship over your thoughts, you reclaim authorship over your life. Bob Proctor translated this philosophy into practical steps. He'd ask his students to write a goal card, a simple piece of paper stating exactly what they desired, phrased in the present tense. I am so happy and grateful now that... This was not a ritual of wishful thinking. It was a tool of focus. The subconscious mind responds to repetition and emotion. The more often you read that card with conviction, the deeper it sinks into the subconscious soil until your actions and environment naturally align to make it real. This is the alchemy of belief, the transmutation of thought into substance. You don't need to know how the universe will deliver. Your role is to maintain the inner frequency. The how reveals itself when the vibration is consistent. Earl Nightingale used to say, "Success is nothing more than the realization of a worthy ideal." Bob Proctor would add, "Faith and fear both demand you believe in something you cannot see. The choice is yours." Together, these two statements form a perfect synthesis of mind and spirit. Faith is the engine of manifestation. Clarity is its direction. Let's explore an example to ground this. Imagine two individuals working the same job. The first one constantly says, "I can't get ahead. Money is hard to come by." The second says, "Money flows easily to me because I create value wherever I go." Over time, they start to live different realities. Why? Because their thoughts created different frequencies. One broadcasted resistance, the other broadcasted openness. Even if both started from the same financial situation, their mindsets sculpted distinct outcomes. The lesson here is not mere optimism, it's energetic law. You can't plant seeds of scarcity and expect to harvest abundance. Your outer wealth can only grow in proportion to your inner belief in your worthiness to receive it. Bob Proctor often taught that money is an effect, not a cause. The cause is always your level of consciousness. Raise that, and the flow of money adjusts automatically. Money is just energy, a tool through which value circulates. When you become a source of value, when your mindset radiates generosity and purpose, the universe compensates you accordingly. Earl Nightingale agreed. The amount of money you earn will always be in direct proportion to the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there will be in replacing you. But even behind that practical formula lies a spiritual truth. Your value expands as your consciousness expands. The more aware you become of your divine potential, the more naturally abundance expresses itself through your actions. Both men believe deeply in personal responsibility, not as a burden, but as liberation. You are the cause, not the effect. That realization is the key to power. When you stop blaming circumstances, you gain command over your vibration. And when you master your vibration, you master your life. In this synthesis of Nightingale's reason and Proctor's spirituality, we find a complete philosophy of success. The mind is the architect. The spirit is the energy. Together, they create form. When your thoughts are guided by wisdom and your spirit is tuned to gratitude, the physical world mirrors that harmony. So, as you move forward, remember, the journey of wealth is not about accumulation, but alignment. It's about remembering who you truly are, an infinite expression of divine intelligence capable of shaping reality through thought, emotion, and inspired action. Wealth is not something you pursue. It's something you allow. It's the natural reflection of a mind and soul in harmony with universal law. And that, as Earl Nightingale and Bob Proctor would both remind us, is the true secret. Change your mind, and your world cannot help but change with it. When we think of spiritual wealth, most people imagine something abstract: peace, fulfillment, or enlightenment. Yet, Earl Nightingale and Bob Proctor both taught that true spirituality is not meant to separate us from material success, but to complete it. The material and the spiritual are not opposites. They are reflections of one another. Money, at its core, is spiritual energy given physical form. It's a medium through which value circulates. When you understand this, you stop chasing money and start aligning with the flow of value itself. Let's revisit one of Nightingale's most powerful metaphors. He compared the human mind to fertile land. Whatever seeds you plant, thoughts of abundance or limitation, will take root. The land doesn't judge, it simply grows what it's given. So if you continually plant worry, doubt, and fear, your harvest will reflect those seeds. But if you sow gratitude, clarity, and purpose, the field of your life blossoms with opportunities, prosperity, and peace. Bob Proctor echoed this truth through the lens of energy. He often said, "Your thoughts are cosmic orders. They carry frequency. Everything in the universe, from your heartbeat to the movement of galaxies, vibrates at a particular frequency. And like frequencies attract." This is not just metaphorical. It's physics, consciousness, and spirituality converging. If your dominant vibration is one of struggle, the universe mirrors that struggle. If it's one of ease, the universe mirrors ease. It's not about forcing wealth. It's about becoming the kind of person for whom wealth is natural. This is where the fusion of mind and spirit becomes crucial. Earl Nightingale gives us the structure: clarity, goal setting, and disciplined thought. Bob Proctor gives us the soul: faith, vibration, and alignment. Together, they reveal that success is neither purely intellectual nor purely mystical. It's the marriage of both. Think about your mind as the blueprint and your spirit as the builder. The clearer the design, the easier it is for the energy of creation to give it form. Confusion delays manifestation, but clarity accelerates it. This is why Nightingale insisted that you must define exactly what you want. He said, "People with goals succeed because they know where they're going. Without a definite purpose, energy disperses. But when the mind knows the destination, the spirit mobilizes universal law to move everything toward that end." Proctor went further, teaching that emotion is the activating force of creation. He explained that the conscious mind chooses thoughts, but the subconscious, which controls behavior and attraction, responds only to emotion. That's why you can repeat affirmations all day and still not manifest results if they are not felt. Thought without feeling is like a radio signal with no power. It exists, but it doesn't broadcast. To manifest abundance, you must therefore feel abundant before you are abundant. Gratitude is the gateway to that vibration. Gratitude dissolves resistance and shifts your energy into receptivity. When you feel genuine appreciation for what already exists, you tell the universe, "I am ready for more." Bob Proctor once said, "You cannot attract something you are not in harmony with." This harmony is not forced through willpower, but cultivated through awareness. You don't chase abundance, you tune into it. You become a participant in its frequency. Let's break this down in practice. Imagine you want to double your income. You can approach that from fear, thinking, "I need to make more money or I'll fall behind." That vibration is scarcity. Or you can approach it from creation. "I am expanding into greater levels of service, and money flows to me as a result." That vibration is abundance. The spiritual principle is simple but profound. Energy follows intention. When your intention is pure, rooted in contribution, growth, and gratitude, the return multiplies. Nightingale would describe this through logic. You reap what you sow. Proctor would describe it through energy. You attract what you are. The message is identical. The language differs. Both point to one truth. The universe mirrors your internal state. Let's pause here for a moment of reflection. Think of all the people who seem to work endlessly, yet remain stuck. They're diligent, but their mindset is soaked in worry. They're operating under the illusion that success is purely mechanical, a matter of doing more. But both Proctor and Nightingale remind us, it's not about doing more. It's about being more. The shift from doing to being is the essence of spiritual success. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are in vibration with. This means your primary task each day is not to hustle harder, but to raise your state of consciousness. That's where meditation, visualization, and gratitude journaling come in. These are not just self-help rituals. They are energetic recalibrations. When you quiet your mind, you open your channel to the infinite intelligence that guides creation. When you visualize, you give that intelligence a clear image to manifest. When you express gratitude, you tune your frequency to abundance. Earl Nightingale believed that the mind could be trained like a muscle. The more you focus on what you want, the stronger that focus becomes. Bob Proctor extended this, teaching that faith is a muscle too. Faith is not belief without evidence. It's belief that creates evidence. It's knowing that what you desire already exists in potential form and that your energy will call it into visible form when you align with it. Consider how powerful that is. Your imagination is not fantasy. It's the blueprint of future reality. Every skyscraper, every fortune, every breakthrough began in someone's imagination. And imagination, according to both Proctor and Nightingale, is divine. It's the faculty through which humans participate in creation itself. When you imagine yourself wealthy, you are not pretending, you are rehearsing alignment. You are teaching your mind and body to recognize abundance as familiar. And when it feels familiar, it becomes inevitable. Let's bring this down to an exercise you can practice today. Bob Proctor's famous method for accelerating manifestation included these 3 steps. Decide exactly what you want. Most people never do this. The universe responds to clarity, not confusion. Write it down in the present tense as if it's already true. Believe that it's possible, not vaguely, deeply. Reprogram your subconscious through repetition. Read your goal card daily with emotion. Act as if you already are the person who has it. Adjust your habits, posture, language, and energy to match that identity. Nightingale's parallel teaching complements this perfectly. He would say, "Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal." That means every day you live in harmony with your purpose. You are already successful. You don't need the final result to feel worthy. Your worth is what creates the result. Now, consider the emotional alchemy of these 2 perspectives together. You're not waiting for money to feel abundant. You feel abundant, and the money arrives as the echo of that vibration. This flips the entire narrative of society, which teaches us to chase, compete, and strive. Nightingale and Proctor teach us to align, expand, and allow. There's a story Proctor loved to share about a man who struggled for years to make ends meet. He worked tirelessly, but never broke through. One day, he heard a lecture by Earl Nightingale where Nightingale said, "We become what we think about." That line struck him so deeply that he began to change his inner conversation. He stopped saying, "I can't afford it," and started saying, "How can I create it?" Within a year, his income tripled. The outer world hadn't changed, his vibration had. That story illustrates the heart of both men's philosophy. Prosperity begins in consciousness. When you align with spiritual law, you stop fighting reality. You start cooperating with it. The universe is not against you. It's waiting for your permission to deliver abundance. That permission is granted through belief. Here's the paradox. When you stop needing money, you become magnetic to it. Because need vibrates lack, while peace vibrates fulfillment. When you're at peace, your energy becomes a channel for flow. The more relaxed and grateful you are, the more easily the current of abundance passes through you. Earl Nightingale once described happiness as the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Notice the word progressive. It implies motion, growth, expansion. The same applies to wealth. It's not a static possession, it's a flowing river. To hold on too tightly is to block its current. To remain open and generous is to stay in harmony with it. Bob Proctor beautifully said, "The more you give, the more you receive, not because of a rule, but because giving expands you into the frequency of receiving. When you give from fear, you shrink. When you give from faith, you grow." Giving proves to yourself that you already have enough. That's why both teachers emphasize gratitude and generosity as the foundation of prosperity. Gratitude raises your frequency. Generosity keeps it circulating. Together, they form the rhythm of abundance. Inhale and exhale, receive and give. And this is where the spiritual meets the practical. You can study business, investments, and strategy, and you should. But without a consciousness of abundance, your actions lack magnetism. When your spirit is aligned, even small actions create exponential results. In truth, you are not attracting wealth, you are allowing it. The universe is abundant by nature. Your task is simply to remove the inner resistance that blocks that flow. Resistance in the form of fear, guilt, or disbelief. That's the journey Nightingale and Proctor invite you on. The transformation from scarcity consciousness to abundance consciousness. Once that shift happens, the entire fabric of your life rearranges. Opportunities find you. Ideas come effortlessly. You begin to see money not as something external, but as an expression of who you've become. The final realization is this: spiritual principles are not about escaping the material world. They are about mastering it through higher awareness. Money, success, and fulfillment are simply reflections of your alignment with divine law. And that law, as Nightingale said, is constant. You become what you think about. So think richly, feel deeply, act courageously, and let the universe match your vibration. The deeper you travel into the teachings of Earl Nightingale and Bob Proctor, the clearer it becomes that true wealth is not created by strategy alone, but by spiritual alignment. Every action you take in business, every decision you make about money, every opportunity that appears or disappears is guided by an invisible law, the law of vibration, which underlies the law of attraction. Bob Proctor often said that the law of attraction is secondary. It doesn't create, it responds. The real creative power lies in your vibration, your emotional frequency, and your vibration is determined by your habitual thoughts. That means you are constantly broadcasting to the universe a signal of who you believe you are and what you expect from life. The universe, in turn, simply reflects that signal back in physical form. Earl Nightingale captured the same idea decades earlier when he said, "The mind moves in the direction of our currently dominant thoughts. Whatever you hold in your mind most often with emotion becomes your reality." This is not poetic metaphor, it's the very mechanism of manifestation. Let's make this personal. Right now, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what is the emotion I live in most of the time? Is it gratitude, confidence, and trust? Or is it worry, doubt, and frustration? That emotion is your vibration. You may say all the right affirmations, but if underneath them there's fear, that fear becomes your true prayer. The key then is to bring your emotions into harmony with your desires. You don't wait for wealth to feel abundant. You feel abundant now, because that feeling is the magnet that draws more to you. This is the spiritual science of prosperity. Bob Proctor loved to remind people that their outer world is a printout of their inner programming. If you want to change the printout, you must rewrite the code. And that code is written in your subconscious mind. You don't attract according to what you consciously wish for. You attract according to what your subconscious accepts as truth. That's why repetition, visualization, and gratitude are so vital. Each one gently reprograms your subconscious with new patterns of belief. You are not trying to force reality to change. You are aligning your vibration so reality must change. The universe has no choice but to match the energy you emit. Earl Nightingale explained this with incredible simplicity. He said, "You are now, and you do become, what you think about." Notice the phrasing, "You are now." That means manifestation isn't about waiting for something in the future. It's about recognizing that you are already in the process of becoming. The moment you adopt the mindset of wealth, the universe begins reorganizing itself to support that identity. There's a story told by one of Nightingale's students, a small-town teacher who was constantly struggling financially. After studying the strangest secret, she began changing her self-image. Every morning, she visualized herself as prosperous, confident, and generous. She didn't just imagine having more money. She imagined the peace and gratitude that came with it. Within 2 years, she had tripled her income, not through luck, but by following her intuition into new ventures she previously wouldn't have noticed. She stopped chasing opportunities and started magnetizing them. This is the hidden spiritual principle both men taught. You cannot outperform your self-image. If your subconscious image of yourself is small, insecure, or unworthy, the universe will never send you more than what matches that image. To receive more, you must become more internally, not through ego, but through expansion of consciousness. Proctor used to say, if you want to earn more, you have to become the person who earns more. That's not about working harder. It's about elevating your self-concept. When your self-image rises, your vibration rises. And when your vibration rises, your income, relationships, and circumstances follow automatically. This brings us to a profound truth. Spiritual growth and financial growth are the same process. The outer wealth is a reflection of inner expansion. That's why the law of attraction is spiritual at its core. It's not about manipulation, but alignment. When you're in alignment, action becomes inspired instead of forced. You move with intuition rather than fear. You stop grinding in desperation and start flowing with purpose. Earl Nightingale called this living in forward motion. You become a co-creator with life rather than a victim of circumstance. The spiritual person, properly understood, is not detached from the material world. They master it. They see through the illusion that money is separate from consciousness. They know that every financial challenge is really a spiritual test, a mirror asking, do you still believe in lack, or will you hold faith in abundance? That's why gratitude is not just a moral virtue, it's a magnetic frequency. When you are truly grateful, you stop sending out signals of lack. You stop vibrating, I need more, and start vibrating, I have more than enough. the universe reads that signal as expansion, and expansion always attracts more. Bob Proctor told audiences repeatedly, "If you can hold it in your head, you can hold it in your hand." He wasn't exaggerating. He was describing a literal energetic process. Thought gives emotion, gives vibration, gives manifestation. Every physical form begins as non-physical energy that's been focused and believed into being. Earl Nightingale's logic built the bridge between this invisible process and practical reality. He said, "Ideas are worthless unless we act on them. The moment you take aligned action, guided by faith, not fear, you set the universe in motion. Spirit responds to commitment. Energy crystallizes around decisiveness. You can't drift your way into wealth. You must intend it with clarity. This is why vague wishing never works. The universe doesn't respond to confusion. It responds to conviction. When you decide what you want and believe it's already yours, the vibration becomes so strong that circumstances begin shifting almost magically. But it's not magic, it's law. Let's be clear, spiritual principles are not shortcuts. They are accelerators. They don't replace work. They make your work meaningful. They don't cancel discipline. They make discipline joyful. They turn ordinary effort into divine expression. Here's an experiment you can begin right now. For the next 7 days, replace every thought of limitation with one of expansion. When you catch yourself thinking, "I can't afford this," immediately affirm, "I am open to new channels of income." When you notice fear about bills, bless the money that's already flowing and thank it for serving its purpose. This subtle shift begins to rewire your energy field. Within days, opportunities, ideas, or synchronicities will begin to appear. Both Proctor and Nightingale insisted that consistency is key. Your vibration is not set by what you think occasionally. It's set by what you think habitually. That's why daily practice, visualization, gratitude, affirmations is essential. It's not repetition for repetition's sake. It's energetic training. Earl Nightingale would say, "We become what we repeatedly do." Bob Proctor would add, "We become what we repeatedly feel." Combine those truths, and you have the full formula. What you think, feel, and act upon with consistency becomes your life. Now, imagine the person you wish to become. Wealthy, confident, generous, calm. See that image clearly. Then ask yourself, what would this version of me think about today? How would they feel? What decisions would they make? And then begin living that way now. Don't wait for the evidence. Become the evidence. That's the hidden mastery behind both teachers' work, embodiment. Manifestation is not about convincing the universe to give you something. It's about convincing yourself that you already are that something. Once your self-concept aligns with your desire, the universe rushes to mirror it. It's like tuning a radio. You don't create the music. You simply align your dial with the right frequency. The music was always there, waiting for you to tune in. Likewise, abundance is not something you summon. It's a station that's always broadcasting. You just need to tune your mind and spirit to that channel. Bob Proctor's final years were dedicated to helping people realize that money is a byproduct of awareness. He said, "When you expand your awareness, everything else follows. Income, relationships, health. It's all the same energy." Earl Nightingale would have nodded in complete agreement. Awareness is the root of all transformation. To close, let's summarize the spiritual principles that shaped this entire philosophy of success. You become what you think about most. Thoughts are the seeds of destiny. Guard them carefully. Emotion is energy in motion. What you feel consistently becomes your vibration, and vibration attracts its match. Gratitude magnetizes abundance. You cannot receive more while resenting what you already have. Gratitude opens the gates of flow. Clarity creates momentum. The universe loves specificity. Know what you want and commit to it with faith. Action anchors intention. Without movement, energy stagnates. Aligned action turns vibration into manifestation. Giving multiplies receiving. When you give joyfully, you demonstrate abundance, and abundance mirrors back to you. Faith is seeing the invisible. Doubt disconnects. Faith aligns. Believe first, and the evidence will appear. When you live by these principles, you stop chasing wealth and start embodying it. Money, success, peace, they're no longer separate goals. They're expressions of the same frequency. Earl Nightingale's logic gives your goals direction. Bob Proctor's spirituality gives them life. And when logic and spirit unite, you become unstoppable, a conscious creator of prosperity, not by force, but by flow. So, as you close your eyes tonight, affirm this truth gently. I am in harmony with abundance. I think richly. I feel gratitude. I act with faith. Money and opportunities flow to me with ease because I am aligned with divine order. Say it not as hope but as fact, because in the eyes of universal law, it already is. And remember, the greatest spiritual secret of success is not found in wealth itself, but in the awareness that creates it. You are that awareness. You are the source. The universe responds to you. Now go live from that truth and let abundance be your natural expression.